you and I are both Joseph Campbell lovers. And in mythology, specifically in Buddhism, Nietzsche talks about these all of them. Anyone with two marbles knows this. The problem with talking about anything is we're separating from ourselves. Like this third entity is it's not really part of us. It's not me. In reality, like if you look at Buddhism or if you look at mythology, you look at like the hidden shadows in ourselves, is about accepting it part of you. Nietzsche has a great saying, be careful to cast out the devil from you because you're casting out the best part of you.
Everything is like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually our best qualities are our worst qualities.
Yeah. So instead of negating it, like people like to label it, right? There's a Vedic saying, if you label me, you negate me. People like to label something, well, I'm angry. And my primary dominance is like anger.
Right.
Like that's kind of like my substrate. Anger and cynical. I'm like, I don't trust people, right? Instead of saying, oh, this is a horrible trait of me, like I need to eliminate it. You're never going to eliminate it. It's going to become worse. Joseph Campbell's definition of the devil is internal energies that you have ignored and not love, and they manifest to become your very own devils. Yeah. You become your own devil because you don't accept them, you don't recognize them, you don't love them, you don't incorporate them as part of you, but they are fucking part of you.
That which you try to abandon, that which you try to strike off will often end up owning you. Yeah. It's like impossible because it's you. You can't run away from yourself.
Correct.
You can't just all of a sudden be like, all right, it's gone.
There's no duality.
Well, I read this book by Maxwell Maltz, who was Psycho-Cybernetics. You ever read it?
Long time ago.
It is honestly the most incredible book. And I've read a lot of incredible books, but like from the perspective of just succinct how to and like an understanding of the framework of the mind as like this goal-oriented organism and what happens to the mind when it doesn't have a proper goal and what happens to the mind when the thinking patterns have become destructive. It's absolutely mind-boggling in terms of how much I've gleaned from this book about like my past and thinking about how I used to think, how I used to see things, how I used to react to things. And so I'm able to now go back in time, kind of rewrite a story, so to speak. And frankly, like change my emotions in some sense surrounding certain things. And I think actually with this MDMA therapy, I think it could be like a whole nother level.
Yeah, I think it's, at least for me, it's done a lot of good. There's a bunch of other therapies out there. I think there's no panacea.
Dude, what's crazy is going back to this whole Soviet Union thing and, coming from the Eastern Bloc, at that juncture, in that time and space, mental health wasn't a thing. Like, oh, you got a problem? Suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
Drink.
Yeah.
That's how people dealt with their problems. Yeah. They drank, themselves into an early grave or a stupor. And it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. And so many good people have been crushed by the weight of their own minds, their own issues, So many of our ancestors. Like, therapy is important, But I firmly believe that, like, the type of therapy that will do the most good is the type where you're not just ruminating on the past hurts and bringing them up, but you're really thinking about, like, what is it that you can do today?
Correct.
How can you think differently today to, like, switch it up? Because it's like, if I sit there and talk about that I'm weak, that if 3 months ago and I was like 30 pounds heavier, if I was just pissing at myself for like being heavy, but I didn't go to the gym to actually do anything, it wouldn't have done a good for me.
So you bring up a good point. I'm a firm believer that so-called willpower is a scam. Just like in computer software, there's a substrate and you have whatever computer language you want, and in the environment, it behaves a certain way, different environments. Okay. I'll give you an example right now. I was at a gym, really beautiful gym, downtown Toronto, right in the core, around Eden Center. Has everything you can possibly think about. I never went. Why? Because it lived too far.
Right.
Simple as that, logistics. So I found a gym close to me, close as possible. I actually got a co-working, like a office I do 1 hour a day, right literally across it.
Yeah.
What happened? Well, I go there every day because it takes me less than 10 minutes to get to the gym. It's like 7 minutes from my front door. And so going back to the therapy, the problem is it's not just you within this computer code. It is you plus the context that you're in. So if you are, obviously it always starts with you. You're always first. You got to work on yourself. You know, there's this Rumi saying, yesterday I wanted to change the world, but today yesterday I was clever, I want to change the world. Today I'm wise, I want to change myself. But that can only go so far if you're living in a very bad substrate.
Absolutely.
Like if your wife, or vice versa, husband, wife, or wife, husband, whatever, if they're the opposite and now evolving with you, growing with you, good fucking luck.
Yeah, if you're in a negative, toxic environment, like
good fucking luck.
Yeah, it's like your genes, are the gun. Environment pulls the trigger. You have to change your environment.
Yeah.
And it actually brings you back to like the whole topic of habits and why they're so powerful. Well, you've been creating this habit of going to the gym by defaulting yourself into it by making it super easy for yourself.
Yeah, no resistance.
Yeah, exactly. Like resistance, man, like we do things. We use the phone because there's so little resistance with using the phone. That's why we're so addicted to it, right? It feels good. So yeah, I'm totally in full agreement there. Like I totally get that.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like I have friends of mine that do a lot of therapies. Then I asked the question, like I have one friend, it's like 20th time doing some kind of, work by now? Like 20 times in? You know what I mean?
There's that counter thing too, where it's like a lot of therapists, and I've gone to a few therapists where it's like, kind of been like, okay, well, was this really worth the value? Because they just kind of sit there and let you talk. And then, okay, sure, that's cathartic to some degree.
Yeah.
But like, I'm coming here for tools, man. I'm coming here to learn something, to like incorporate it into my life. I'm not just coming here to like blab about the past. I've done enough of that, right? Like, I think for human beings, it doesn't come natural to think positively, honestly, for most.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and that's like an evolutionary adaptation, a negative one, unfortunately, because like we have to concentrate on the negative in order to escape from the tiger or whoever. We have to see those negative things and build negative patterns to ensure that we're ready for
it's a safety precaution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It potentially to happen again. So it's like we're not born with a manual for the brain, right? And very few people understand it and very few people teach it. And it's kind of, you're on your own. Okay, well, here, go out into the world. You're lucky if you learn enough. Like so many of us have so much free-flowing anxiety throughout the day about ourselves, the negative self-talk, the monkey in the brain, like, and we go to therapy and we talk and we talk and we talk. And sometimes literally just going down and chop down a tree.
Nah.
Go and chop a damn tree down.
Not even a tree, but
use your body, right?
At least for in the West, like I think it's seldom that people experience real, I want to say living, but experiential nature experiences.
Brother.
You know what I mean? Like real, like I used to go portaging in Algonquin Park. I'm talking about no food. We brought rifles.
Yeah, dude.
In case of a bear, fishing rods, and 60 ounces of vodka.
Yeah. There's the Eastern Bloc in you.
That's right. And straight up portaging, like no food.
Yeah.
Like literally no fucking food.
Yeah.
And I could tell crazy bear encounter stories. And portaging for 7 days. Like we had to fish, we had to catch, great fucking time. I remember, like, thank fucking God I did not grow up in social media or cell phone. I was the last generation before the new generation. I'm 34. It's seldom that I hear people do stuff like that. Seldom that they experience nature. They go in and they experience it.
Dude, and it's such an integral part. Like all the science, like frankly, like look, why do you need science to tell you need nature? But okay, let's say we do.
Mm-hmm.
All the science confirms that it is the healthiest thing for you. Next to like exercise and diet, you need nature.
Yep.
And for me, that's always been another pivotal part that's helped me like become a better person, live that concept of arete, is stepping out into that kind of darkness, so to speak, going on big trips, whether through the Himalayas. I hiked there for a month and a half. We were shooting a documentary. Dude, I got so sick that I was sick for a year and a half after.
From what, just bacteria or?
Everything.
Really?
Everything. Altitude, bacteria. I had some sort of single cellular organisms. Like it was just nuts. And
fucking
I was on
Himalaya fucked you up, eh?
type of antibiotic and anti-parasitic. And I was a mess when I came back. I was 40 pounds thinner.
Yeah.
And I came back and this is a little off topic, but it's like, I actually had to come back and do more adjusting living here than I had to going over there.